Are you okay if we start recording?
Yeah, man, that's cool.
Cool.
But yeah, dude, he had this idea for the youth center,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved home from Hawaii. Short story, but we got the keys, and then all of a sudden the pandemic happened. So we're like, we got the keys 3 weeks before our initial start date, and we're like, dude, we're gonna just fucking run it. So we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been surreal, man. It's been good though.
And I mean,
beautiful.
You understand, man. And I'm right towards the tail end of your book, which, by the way, is phenomenal.
Thanks, man.
I mean, massive respect to you.
Absolutely.
Your journey, what you've done. And so I think we can speak to where we've been. You know what it takes, what it looks like. And we're up here every morning by 6 a.m. and usually leaving at about 11 p.m. is what we were doing for a while. And we were running that. And so it was like 100 hours a week. But it's your heart and soul, and that's what this has been. And so it's been amazing, but it's definitely been massive amounts of expedited growth. And but it's phenomenal, and everything. Yeah, it's all awesome stuff. How are you?
Yeah, how's Oklahoma, man?
Well, I mean, I live in a pretty rural area, It's not like a big city, but I guess we're about to shut down again for the COVID. We opened back up, and now we're about to shut it down again. Like all the bars and all that's gonna shut down again. And then we're supposed to have school starting back up in August, but that's looking like we may finish that online too. So it's just a bunch of crazy shit going on, people trying to figure it out, because I teach and coach full time, but then I do my outreach center too. So I'm my outreach center, it's cool because, I have more control of the way we operate. So I'm still meeting with the kids on a regular basis and stuff like that. So now the school system's just trying to figure it out, man, because I guess if one kid tests positive, we had to shut it down for 14 days. Now, yeah, they're trying to weigh out the risk versus the reward on how we should go. It's really just a weird place because nobody knows what to do because it's
right.
So yeah.
None of us has been here.
Yeah.
We're just like, what the fuck do we do? How do we handle this? And I guess the easiest and safest thing is to just close down the entire world for a while.
But I'm sure that you see the backlash and the cost of that, especially for young people, is like, man, it gets interesting when you mention things being an essential service. It's like, because, man, I can kind of go bare bones where it's like, well, if we really want to talk about fucking essentials, we're really talking about water, food, shelter. Anything else is a privilege. But when you get to youth and mental health and providing a space for them, I think this quarantine and isolation has been really, really rough. So I'm sure you're maneuvering the same thing where it's like, I want to be cautious. I want to be safe. I want to make sure that we're doing due diligence to protect community. But a lot of these kids need these services, and I want to make sure that we're showing up for them. And so we're doing the same thing with our center and just trying to keep it open and be mindful and social distance and have protocol and run it a certain way. But it's like some of them, man, just need it. It makes sense to keep running and gunning.
Yeah, and not only that, I don't think people take into consideration the type of environments that kids come from. So if you take a kid that's being abused and shit at home, it's not safe, it's not being fed, it's not being loved on, I'm not going to expect that kid to just stay home for 60 days or when it's safe, because not every kid is just staying home playing Xbox, doing whatever they want while school's out. A lot of them having to suffer through it. So, but like I said, I'm just doing what I can with my place, and then just waiting on this shitstorm to blow over, man. It's nuts.
Well, dude, can we dive in, man?
Yeah.
I just got to tell you, I'm gonna fanboy out for a second because he introduced me to you.
Yeah, I'd been following you,
and he said, and so when we were first getting shit together, I've been in mental health for a long time. I got my bachelor's in psych, my master's in counseling. I'm an LPC. I work with organizations. had done psychology, mental health, counseling, psychotherapy, worked with youth a ton. And Zach came back. You kind of know a little bit of our story, knew each other when we were younger, took a 20-year kind of hiatus, reconnected. He was doing a bunch of integral growth work down in Hawaii. But as we were connecting and envisioning and dreaming what this would be, he said, dude, you got to check this guy out on Instagram, man, the tattooed teacher. And it was, I think, and so I looked at your Instagram. I looked at the pictures of the building, the construction. I read some of your posts, your story. And then I think I hit you up. He was like, man, we got to get him on the podcast at some point. And I think I just messaged you. And I was like, hey, man. And you came right back. And it was just like, we've been in communication. And I just want to tell you, Dillon, like, you, in your book, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You speak to it very well. And in being in the mental health field for a long time, licensed professional counselors, licensed clinical social workers, psychologists, mental health professionals, I don't want to speak ill upon them, but many of them don't understand what it means to work with youth.
Yeah.
Have good intentions, but they struggle with the humanistic relationship and the connection. And you said a couple of things in here where you said it comes down to, well, you said the most emotional side effect of working at the facility, and you were talking about one facility you worked at in the past, was seeing the system treat kids like numbers and not like humans. And I can see your heart in this book, and everything's about the kids. And Zach and I have had some very intense dialogue and discussion with people that want to partner and do different things. And I go fucking crazy, dude, because I'm like, if this shit ain't about the kids and we're not doing good work and they're not vibing on it, I'll shut the motherfucker down. And it's like, dude, that's my shit is. Yeah, and he does, man. He's got to be like,
vision too, for sure.
But that's the only reason, man. It's helping these youth have a space to be able to get support and grow and strengthen and see their light and their potential and know they're not alone. And so your journey and what you've done, I think, is massively impressive, especially with it being a nonprofit. You raising the money to buy and purchase the building, and then doing all the demo work with the kids. And I was, right before we hopped on, I was like, fuck, dude, we got to do more of that like paramilitary structure and get leadership going on with the kids here, and that ripple effect that he talks about of like integrating the kids in and them starting to take more ownership and step into these leadership roles. So I would just love for you to talk about whatever you want to, man, in your journey, and just hand it to you and kind of give a little bit of background.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, so where my facility is where I was raised, I went to school there and stuff. So I kind of knew the lack of resources in that town just because I'm from there. But I mean, my mom's always been just a hard worker. And whenever I'd have friends that didn't have shit at home, my friends that didn't have food or running water, stuff like that a lot of kids go through. My mom and dad would just naturally let them come stay with us or help them out with whatever they needed. So for me, doing what I do now is kind of like a learned behavior, because I grew up watching my mom do this stuff and really wanting nothing in return, So for me, I think my mom instilled that in me, and I don't think she necessarily meant to. It was just who she is as a person, She didn't have to say shit. I just seen everything she did, and it just became natural for me. In my book, I talk about when she got this position at this hospital for like the director of nursing position, and really upscale position where most people would use it to, I don't know, I wouldn't say chill and relax, but make it more convenient for themselves. She literally took the opposite approach. She would use that position to let her workers take holidays off that may not gotten to. Anytime it was one of her workers' kids' birthdays, she'd come in and cover their shift. So it was just always seeing her, you know, go above and beyond. And then growing up there myself, I would go to my friends' houses and seeing that, you know, that they didn't have food or electricity, you know, just stuff like that. So once I graduated high school, of course, I went to college because my counselor gave me the fucking 30-second survey that said, fill out these 5 questions. Oh, with that being said, you should do criminal justice or be a welder or this and that. And I was like, fuck, I feel like that test was pretty simple, but all right. So, yeah.
All that about me. This is your path.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So my first year at college, I just remember sitting there and just feeling, I don't know, I was just like disgusted with where I was. I just felt like maybe college is cool, but it's just not for me. You know, it's just not it's not my thing right then. I mean, I always tell people, it sounds cliche, but I felt like the universe was like calling, you know, it was like pulling me out of there. Like I can't explain it. I was like, fuck, something is pulling me out of this classroom, but nobody can see it but me, you know, I could feel it. So I knew right then I had my first, you know, oh fuck moment. Like, how am I going to explain this to my mom? Because my mom, you know, is do it by the book. She went to nursing school, worked tirelessly, and that's, you know, that's what she wants for her kids. So I was like, this is going to suck because my mom's super proud. I'm in college. I got all these badass scholarships, but I was just fucking miserable. So I got up in this class and decided I was just going to just drop out of college. And I remember the professor, she's like, hey, if you have to leave, I'll email you your assignment. And I was like, oh, I'm not coming back. And I remember she was like, this is the worst mistake you're ever going to make. And like all the frat boys and sorority girls like, oh my God, you're fucking crazy. You're dropping out of college. Like, what are you going to do? And I'm thinking, I have no fucking idea, but I feel like super excited that I'm doing it.
I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know it's not going to be fucking this anymore.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Point for that, man. Like, you felt that misalignment, and that's what that was. And I think many of us ignore that, and we continue on a path that isn't meant for us. And that's where unhappiness stems from, man. And they drag that into their whole fucking life, dude. And they just, it's cool to see that, man. I love hearing people express that because that's exactly what it was, dude.
Yeah, man. And I got to my truck. And then my mom texted me. It was like literally the worst timing ever. Dillon, I'm so proud of you. You know, you're doing like, and she was like, yeah, she was like, how's your week going? You know, and this was back before smartphones and shit, you know, it was just a little flip phone. So I remember replying, college is going good, but I just dropped out. And then my phone proceeded to blow up. Like, I literally thought she was going to blow my flip phone up. She was calling. Yeah. And then she was like, Dillon, you better be joking. Like, just so pissed. But that's when, like you said, I had my moment where I knew I was going to do this because, like, I love my mom to death, but I had my mind, like, made up. So finally I called her. I went back to my apartment and I was like, look, I'm not happy where I'm at. I'm young. I feel like I should be doing more. And I'm just like, I'm miserable. Like, I know there's some shit I'm going to have to sacrifice to get to where I want, but I don't want to sacrifice this part of my life because I don't feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. And then, of course, she tried to talk me out of it. Like, well, give it another week. You're just homesick. And I'm like, no offense. Like, I love you, but I don't miss you that much. I mean, I love girls and the parties, but this just isn't for me. And she was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I think I'm going to go active duty in the military. And that's when she was like, you know, pardon my French, but fuck no. Like, what? Yeah. This was back, you know, when it was just, you know, getting heavy. And so I was like, yeah, like, I know it's going to offer me what I want. And what I want is, like, uncertainty, you know? Like, I don't want to have anything mapped out. Like, I want to go against the grain. I want the world to, like, fuck me up, and I want to see, like, what comes out on the other end. And of course she just couldn't understand it. You know, now she talks we talk about it, and, you know, she laughs and she's like, you wouldn't have be anywhere where you are right now if you wouldn't have like went out on your own, you know? So, man, I went to the recruiters' little offices, and I literally went to each one like, hey, I want to leave like as soon as I can. I don't care what I do, which is the wrong thing to tell a recruiter. Oh yeah, we got sign-on bonuses, this and that. I'm like, oh, do you need a sign-on bonus? Well, I don't know. When can I leave? Yeah, you can leave. You can probably have you out in a week. Fuck, this sounds perfect, you know? So literally, literally, I went in the Army, and after I talked to my mom, man, it was pretty quick. I didn't have a big going away party. You know, this is back before social media. Like, nobody knew. I didn't tell a lot of my family, and I just left, man. Like, within a couple weeks, not even a week, I think, I was on a fucking plane ride to boot camp, and I'm thinking, what the fuck, badass. This is exactly what you want to be feeling, you know? So, like, the first morning at boot camp when I woke up, I was just like, fuck, I screwed this up very badly. Because I had decent scholarships, you know, so I could have made it through. But the thing is, like, my mom back then made decent money nursing, but I still had two sisters, you know, so I wasn't going to be a kid that could just ride on my parents' debit card the whole trip. And I knew that, and I didn't want to have my mom stressing out just to say her son's at college, you know, because even when I was working, man, shit's just so expensive living in a big city and stuff like that. So I felt like if I'm going to find my way, I want me to find it and like nobody else, you know? I mean, I don't want to sound like a dick. I know there's a lot of kids that have parents to pay for it, but for me, I was like, man, wherever I end up like 10 years from now, I want to be able to look back and say, like, I went and did that shit on my own, you know? So, yeah, first day in boot camp, I thought I made the biggest mistake of my life, just because you wake up around all these fucking guys and you're like, damn it, I was just living the dream. And then, so yeah, man, I did the active duty thing, and I mean, the military is what it is. You have good leadership and bad leadership, but
I'm so glad. Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
And say, one, I think the people that love you the most are the ones who will try and protect you the most. Yep. And they inevitably bring fear and anxiety and panic. And that's what that was. That's your mom going, oh my God, but what if? But if you don't do this path, and if you don't do it in this way, what if? And it's fear. And I think it takes a relentless spirit and a warrior type energy to kind of say, I can't live in fear. I love you. I care about you. I appreciate you, but I have to go this road and I have to walk my path. And then I was going to say real quick, man, with the leadership thing, when I read the first line in your book, which says, I'm not here to be your friend, and you may not like me, but you will respect me. At first I was like, yeah, man, I get that. But, and then I didn't read on. Like, I just read a line and was like, I'll come back to that. And then
you're like, dude, this guy's a fucking dick.
What the fuck?
And then I read it. And if you don't mind, man, I'll read it. You say, I'm not here to be your friend, and you may not like me, but you will respect me. You've more than likely heard a coach or someone in a leadership role say something very similar. I know I have on multiple occasions. It's what I refer to as toxic leadership.
Yeah.
This method of leadership is nothing more than a plague. It first affects everyone's drive and ambition to follow you. It then infects and ultimately kills whatever mission you were trying to accomplish in the first place. And then you start to talk about true leadership being from a place of you want somebody to take pride in you, and you want to prove to that leader a good leader makes you want to level up.
Yep.
And that's where, so you were talking about military and different types of leadership, but it was just funny, and I had to mention, man. So like that, I'll stop interjecting.
Oh no, man. Dude, like today, I literally forgot I even fucking wrote a book until you brought it up. I'm like, oh yeah, I did fuck around and write a book.
Okay.
Awesome, man. That's awesome.
But yeah, so fast forward to me deciding to stay in the military or get out. the decision was I wanted to have, you know, more control of my life. And I knew the military just couldn't offer that. I mean, I loved a lot of stuff about it. There's a lot of stuff I didn't love about it, but I knew it was just part of my journey, you know, just like other jobs or whatever you do to get to where you want to be. So yeah, I made the decision to get out. So I got honorably discharged and all that. And then I was like, okay, now I want to go back home and try college again and try not to be a dropout degenerate this time around, you know? So, yeah, I went back. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like, it sucked because it's like I tell people, you know, like every fucking day, like you're manifesting in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. And people want this quick fix, you know, if I go through this, I'll have it all planned out because I had to go through that. But I always tell people, like, my journey and yours is like different. It may take you 10 years to figure out what the fuck you really want to do. And that's what most kids that go to college don't understand. It's not the education, it's the experience and the education. If you get educated, but you have the life experience, that's when you can connect with people. So when I got out, I was kind of salty because I thought I'd have it all figured out. But then I was like, okay, I still don't have it figured out. But I knew I wanted to work in the behavioral health field. And I knew maybe someday down the road I wanted to work with kids, you know, at-risk youth kids and stuff like that. So, you know, I took the psychology route, and then I realized I needed to get experience working in the mental health field because all my shit's been like military and like personal training, you know, stuff like that. So, like you said, the first thing people did was talk me out of it. Like, fuck that, dude. Don't do it here in Oklahoma. This shit's way too bad. Like, don't work at these facilities. And I talked to this guy that worked at the juvenile center, and he told me all this horrible shit about it. It was like a Stephen King movie description or something. Like, kids are always fighting. Staff are always abusing kids. This and that, and it went on and on and on. There's kids that killed people. There's kids that did this and that, and I was like, this place sounds fucking perfect. Like, this is like this is exactly where I want to go. And and it was just, I knew it would get me exposure, you know. I knew that would be the testing ground for me to see how bad I really wanted, because if I could work with that type of environment, I thought I could probably be successful, you know, doing any type of work like that. So yeah, I started working at a juvenile center ran by the state. And of course, my tattoos came up first because when I call them, I'm like, hey, I got tattoos. I'm like, oh, it's fine. We have people with, you know, forearm tattoos. And I'm like, they got no fucking idea. So like, I walk in and the lady's like, and, you know, here in Oklahoma, this is the Bible Belt, you know? And you can tell she was just like, I'm asking her about the job. I'm so excited. And she's just like, like not listening to shit. And then I walk out, I see her like get on the phone, and I'm like, dude, what did this lady just say, you know? And so I'm doing my application, and like she sent the director of the whole facility in. Like, that's how shook up she got. Yeah. And I'm talking to him, we start making jokes, and he's like, oh man, this guy's fucking cool. Like, no, like not his tattoos aren't a big deal. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck was this? And she was like, I'm sorry. She's like, I just had to call, you know, because we work with kids that are in gangs, and, you know, I just wanted to make sure. And so I was talking to the director, and he, you know, just asking me why I wanted to get involved, and he was telling me about issues that the staff were having with kids. So thankfully the dude, you know, took a chance on me and let me work. I started out as direct care, which meant I was a fucking babysitter, you know, and all the kids were court ordered to be there. So they had charges from attempted murder, drug trafficking. We had a unit that were full of, you know, the sexual offenders, kids that were there for that type of stuff. So when I worked direct care, I literally worked in every unit that you could. and I was with them, you know, all throughout the day when they went to school, because it wasn't a facility where they got to leave. They stayed there until their treatment was done.
Yeah.
And we had about 68 kids there. And within a year, I'm thinking, where the fuck is the treatment at? Like, there's no treatment going on. Like, it's set up to get the kids ready for, like, the Department of Corrections. I mean, they got to play basketball and shit, but I'm like, where's the treatment at? And basically what it came down to, you know, was, you know, we had kids that deserved to be there because they were just dicks and wanted to go do their own thing. But most of the kids that I knew, and I got to know a lot of them, I would say 95% of them were there because lack of leadership at home. They didn't have a mom or dad. They were raised by a gang. They weren't taught right from wrong, you know, and it sucks because you put them in that type of environment where there's no leadership or treatment, and it just makes it worse, man. So, yeah, within the first year, I got promoted to where I was like a trainer for the new staff, which was pretty cool because I got to like tell them, because when you go to work there, like the line out of the book is pretty much what they tell you. Like, every kid here isn't here because he sang too loud at church. You know, go in there strong, tell them you're not ready to fuck around, like this and this and this. And I'm thinking, this isn't how I'd want someone to like talk to me, you know, like, oh no, like there's no way. So I did what I did to make it to the training, but then I got to redo the training to where I taught them, you know, like verbal de-escalation. Like, look, instead of dropping a kid on his fucking head and bragging about it, you know, take him outside, go play basketball with him, you know, like let's figure out ways to do it. And then after a year of that is when I finally made it to the treatment side, and that's when I got put in charge of my own unit. So yeah, my job was to create treatment plans for each kid. They got put there, and then we would do support groups throughout the week, and then basically just make sure the shit didn't burn down. But the unit I wanted to be in charge of was the one that stayed on lockdown because it was just so volatile. You know, the kids were beating up staff. I mean, it was just off the chain. Like, they were on lockdown for a month, which meant a kid couldn't get up and walk unless they'd been given permission, you know? So when they finally hired me, and we're all like in this room, like, well, you know, we could start you off at this unit. And I'm like, I want to go to unit 319. And everyone's like, why the fuck would you want to go to that? Like, that place is crazy. And I was like, I think I'd like it there. I think I could like turn it around, you know? And they're like, you know, here's the keys, like whatever you think, dude. I mean, you've been here for a year, so you know. So yeah, my first meeting I had with my kids, and I talk about it in the book, is I'm like, hey, let me know what I can do for y'all. Like, write down some things you don't like about this place and what things you think we can make better for you. And you can tell they're like, what the fuck? Like, nobody's ever asked that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I get real with them, like, yeah, man, when I was in the military, I mean, I've done some dumb shit, you know? I've been thrown in jail a couple times. I've made some stupid decisions, but I also know there's some bad leadership that exists in these places. I've seen it, you know? I've been working here for over a year now. So I'm like, let's talk as a group and figure out what we can do to get this unit, you know, like back on track. And that was the first thing. I'm tired of staff talking shit to me. Every time I say a cuss word, I get written up. And these kids, a simple write-up for cussing could result in them going to prison. And I've seen it.
Jesus.
And it's because, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with the Stanford prison experiment, the Lucifer effect, Dr. Zimbardo. You know, I've seen that shit every day. You take someone that barely graduated high school, and you give them a position of authority to write, and they just ruin fucking lives, man. Yeah. So the first thing I told my staff that worked for me, I brought them in and the kids in, and we had one big meeting with all of them, not individually. It's like, no, we're all going to fucking talk as a unit, as a family, and get this shit figured out and just air it out, and then we can move forward. Well, you should talk to the staff. No, we're all going to, if people talk shit, we talk shit, and then we'll fix it, and then we'll move forward. And, man, that's really what we did. So, dude, we went from, we got like unit of the month every month, so the kids got to get all these fucking donuts and stuff. But what it came down to was just my approach, man. Like, unit workers or counselors or whatever the term we were, when it was time to go to lunch, they would leave campus and I would go eat with my kids at the cafeteria. I mean, I'd sit with them, I'd fist bump, we'd talk shit about rap music. And then when it was time for them to go do recreation, if it was dodgeball, I'd show up in my fancy clothes and headshot kids and, you know, play football. And I just took the opposite approach of what everyone told me that I should do. But by doing that, I built a rapport with my kids, because I tell people, if you don't know your fucking kids on a deeper level, you don't know when their behavior is out of whack, because you don't know that fucking kid. All you hear is him cussing or hitting the wall, but you don't know that he hasn't seen his mom in 6 months. You don't know that his dad didn't show up to his court hearing. Like, y'all don't know that because you don't take time doing it. So my first mission I gave my staff was to get to know the kids, like to the point to where you know their birthday, like all this shit, man. And once they did, dude, everything turned around. You know, I made a kid on my unit the team leader that was in charge. So if there was trouble over the weekend, I'm like, hey man, I thought you was in charge of this shit. And you know, these are kids that are in gangs. Like, oh yeah. I mean, once you give them the initiative and make them have pride in something, even in a juvenile center, dude, that's what they need the most. You know. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I did that for over a year as well, and what it came down to was just the system, how it treats kids. I remember I had a kid that was ready to go home. Like he finished all of his treatment, so I'm like, this kid's good to go. Like, he's not gonna go to prison, he's gonna get released. And the word came down from the top that, well, we need to keep him here another 3 weeks until we get a replacement for his bed, because that's how we get the funding.
Oh, Jesus.
And, dude, that's not just in that facility. That's fucking worldwide. But when it comes to kids, and a kid that I had to bust my ass to do the treatment, I'm thinking, okay, so we told him this would happen, and now it's not. And we expect him to just be all cool about it. And dude, that really just set me off, man. Like 90% of me was like, just go in the office and just beat the shit out of everybody in there and then just leave. But I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I can't do that. And then of course, you know, my mom, to do it by the booker, she came over to my house like the day that I finally like decided to leave, you know, and she's like, well, those kids need you, so like just stick it out. And I'm like, what would you do if you went to an animal shelter and just seen like animals being abused for no fucking reason? And then she was like, I'd probably try to take him with me. And I was like, so you're telling me to like escape the kids? Okay, I can do that. Like, no, I'm just saying. And I'm like, look, I love my kids and I know they love me, but I have morals and ethics, and I can't look at myself in the mirror because I'm a part of the system. Whether even though I'm doing the good, I'm still part of the system. And like, I have to stand up and let these people know that this shit's not right. And whatever comes of it will come of it. So yeah, man, I made sure I kept all my paperwork. And one day when we had a big regional meeting where all the big shots came down, it was literally like the perfect timing, because all the big waves were like, oh, you're the guy with the tattoos. Like, everyone says, like, you have this perfect way with these kids. And I'm thinking, these people have no idea what's coming, because I'm about to just throw literally everybody under the bus, you know? So yeah. When they were asking about inputs, you know, I had my workers with me, and I'm like, I got this email from y'all wanting me to keep a kid here because we don't have funding. And I was just straight up and transparent. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. I'm a veteran, I'm a human, and I'm doing this for the kids. And I feel like most of you are doing it for the money, and that's why this place isn't creating any change. And I was like, if this is what y'all expect from me, I can't do it. And then the main director was like, oh shit, who sent you that email? And then it created, you know, this type of fighting because they didn't want to point the blame.
Right.
So I was like, well, here's the thing. If this is how it's going to be, I just can't be associated with it, you know, because seeing kids get sent to prison for cussing out of staff after the staff talked shit to the kid, after the kid went to court and his mom didn't show up because she doesn't care.
Yeah.
I can't be associated with that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a meeting with my kids. I let them know, and I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to fight for y'all. I'm going to let them know how y'all's being misused and mishandled. And that was just a minor thing, man. I had kids that didn't have reading glasses that needed them.
Yeah.
And then would get written up because they needed to go to medical too much. Kids walking around with hose, just stupid shit, man.
Yeah.
That could be fixed. They just didn't want to take the initiative.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, basically that's what it came down to, man. The next meeting, I just dropped a lot of truth bombs. I covered my end, made sure I had all my paperwork, and I let them know, like, this is why I'm leaving. Y'all wrote me this. Y'all wanted this kid to stay here because y'all needed more money. I'm not going to do that. This kid need reading glasses. Y'all haven't helped him out in a month. This kid, he's got no fucking rain jacket. I had to make him a poncho out of a trash bag to walk in the rain. Y'all probably wouldn't want y'all's kids doing that. And I just went on, and I was like, yeah, I think it's time for me to part ways, you know, because otherwise I'm just going to start dropping these dudes on top of their head. So yeah, I decided.
And Dillon,
yeah, man. So
here's what blows my mind, man. If you don't mind, like, so during this whole time, are you studying psychology?
Yeah, dude. I was in school. Oh no. So once I got on the treatment side, I'd already graduated. But as I'm starting out direct care, that's when I'm studying college and stuff. So yeah, I was doing all this while doing college full time, which sucks. Yeah.
Here's what blows my mind is, like, you seem to naturally come to a place where you talk about it and it's very humanistic. And so, like, everything we do here is that person-centered, Carl Rogers, Rogerian, client-centered, humanistic, relational work. And it's like you gravitated to it so naturally. And we talk about, like, it blows our minds that that's not seen more, that's what has to happen in youth work. And this idea that you came into an institutionalized system where kids are getting dehumanized continually. You went, hey, shocker, I'm going to fucking not dehumanize them and actually treat them like another human being and have a relationship and build trust. And then the healing starts. And it's like, it's very, very frustrating. And I think those kids, it's obvious that your heart was devoted to that. And then I'm glad that you didn't stay entrenched in a system that would ultimately steal your soul and put you at a place where you were unable to do that beautiful healing work. And you said, I got to get out of it. I got to move in this direction. And maybe I have to go create my own system and my own structure and my own space for these kids because I can't do it in that disease system.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, for sure, man. And it's funny because I had a conversation with a few of my friends that are like going into the mental health field, you know, and they're like, what approach should I take? And I'm like, dude, I think people can become so educated they get fucking dumber because they forget to they like it's like, okay, a kid is getting emotional about this, and like they're like reading these books. Well, I was taught this technique, and it's like I talk about my book one day where we had this meeting because this kid just like wouldn't talk, like he was just like broken down, you know, and they had literally brought all these specialists in and talked about all these different studies they've read and shit like this, you know, we should do this and let's research this. I'm like, where's the kid at? They're like, oh, he's in this room, but he's just like shut down, and like there's all these counselors in there and they're like taking their turns, and I'm like, this is fucking horrible. So I walk in and he's wearing like an Oklahoma City Thunder jersey, and I'm like, you play basketball? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I bet I could beat your ass in one-on-one. He's like, and literally he's like, no fucking way. I'm like, well, let's go and find out. So he's like, all right, cool. So like we walk out and all the counselors are like, what the fuck? That's not supposed to work. And I'm like, it's because y'all don't know how to be fucking humans anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Like y'all been, I
And you spoke to it. I remember that part in your book, and you spoke to it. And what you said, that's probably one of the most important components is you said the entire time you spent time with that kid and you had your energy with him, you never once fucking asked or dissected or psychoanalyzed or brought up the reason he was there or tried to have an agenda. You went and played motherfucking basketball with the kid for an hour and you just said, is this chill? You want to hang out some more?
Yeah.
That's it, man. And that to me is beautiful. But you get these counselors and clinicians who come in and go, I'm not doing work unless I'm asking them about it, going straight to the point of it. And it's like, man, you got to let that shit arise organically. They got to feel comfortable with you, build enough trust, judge your ass, see if you're really there for the right reasons, and then finally say, you know what, I respect you enough and who you are. I want to talk to you about some heavy shit. Is that cool? Yeah. But you let them run it on their own time. I love that. You just went and you're like, I'm not even going to, we talk about it in here a lot, man. A lot of times I'll purposely not take it to that space and say, like, we started group therapy the other day, and I said, I got one fucking rule. I don't want to talk about anything therapeutic. Let's go. What are we going to fucking talk about? Let's talk about music. Let's talk about movies. The one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to talk about clinical therapeutic shit right now. Let's save that for later. What can we fucking talk about? And then it's just like, it up, man.
It happens organically, man. Just showing up for that kid, bringing the relational piece to it. And why would a kid want to open up to fucking anybody if you don't want to get to actually know that kid and show your true authentic self? And it sounds like, I know that's the way you show up every day and have been for a long time. And like what you said earlier, how is that not just the fucking way? How is that not just the way to do it? Like there should be no other way. And I know you've seen massive amount of opportunity here. And I think it's all over, man. And a lot of treatment centers. And I think they want to do good work, but they might just be going about it the wrong way, man.
Yeah. And I think well, like you said, I think two people are too afraid to like speak their inner truth or like their authentic self because it could be going against the grain. Well, according to addiction experts, that's not how you should do this. According to this PhD guy, that's not how you should talk to a kid. So people, I think they have these ideas and visions, but they're like, but college told me like this idea wouldn't fucking work. Like this isn't how it is. But what people don't realize is most of those people have never been in the fucking trenches with combat veterans that are ready to fucking blow their head off, or a kid that comes from that broken home. And I think, working with kids for me, like I said, I go back to watching my mom be selfless. Yeah. I grew up with friends that came from that type of environment, and I ran with a lot of kids we did a lot of, hood rat shit back in the day. So for me, it's just like taking my journey and then to college and all that and just taking my own approach. But yeah, after leaving the facility, man, that was probably like one of the hardest decisions I had to make. It still haunts me because I wasn't leaving kids. I was leaving my kids, like I full-heartedly believed that they were like my kids, when it was their birthday, we'd make birthday cakes. I mean, they were definitely a part of me. And which, looking back, I still have a solid relationship with a lot of those kids, and that administration ended up all getting canned, so that made me feel better. But it just sucked. But like I said, your journey's not going to be perfect. Like there's that misconception, like read these daily quotes, everything's going to work out, but it may not work out like that. Like you may have to go through some fucked up situations over and over again. It's not that fucking easy. And that's why I try telling kids every day, like, look, you can hope and pray and work and this and that, but look, the universe is going to have its fucking way with you, and it's going to put you through some shit. But look, go through it. Like you have to endure that shit to really grow. So for me, man, dude, I was fucking heartbroken, and I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do because, I wanted to work with kids, but I'm not going to work at a center like that because, I mean, I'm a teacher and all that, but when it comes to like protecting kids, like I'm all about throw punching someone if I fucking have to. So it's like I can't go work at a center because, a lot of them are built that way, or they're built towards like something like y'all's place would have been fucking perfect for me because it's anti what everyone else is doing, and I know that works. So yeah, man, I ended up getting a call about teaching and coaching, and it was fucking hilarious because the tattoo thing came up again. And he's like, "Hey, man, I heard you worked with kids. You know, you did the military, like." And it was the school that I graduated from, and our poverty rate's right around 43%.
Wow.
And yeah, there's no resources. So I know teachers have a hard time teaching there because most of the kids don't really want to be there. And when you tell a kid, "Oh, I'm going to suspend you," they're like, "Okay, I want to go home."
Yeah.
And then when you call their parents, the parents don't care, or the parents aren't there. So the turnover rate's always been bad, and the education's been horrible because the kids just run over the teachers, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, I don't know anything about teaching. I mean, I know stuff about training people. And he's like, "Look, just come here." And I'm like, I was like, "Dude, I got tattoos and shit too nowadays." And he's like, "Oh, that's cool. You know, Miss So-and-so's got this butterfly on her arm." And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, so
You're like, "Nah, bro,
yeah.
I got fucking tattoos, man. I'm just trying to give you a heads up." Yeah.
Yeah, so I show up for my interview, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he's like, hey, it had no fucking idea who I was. And he's like, "Did so-and-so help you yet?" And I was like, "I'm here for my interview." And you could tell he's like, "Oh, fuck, you're Dillon.
Yeah.
Wait, are you a fucking inmate?" You could tell, but he wasn't saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking, and they needed help at the high school, and there's a lot of kids there that are rough around the edges, mostly to their environment. And then he asked my thoughts on doing strength and conditioning, so I was a strength and conditioning coordinator. So yeah, my first year I was teaching psychology, and then I was running the alternative education department, which meant I was in charge of kids that couldn't do the normal schoolwork, which meant basically the school didn't know how to handle them. So so I had my alt ed going as I was teaching psychology on top of the alt ed at the same time. I'm sure that shit is not fucking legal at all, but Oklahoma, fuck it, you'll be fine, you know. So
yeah,
I was doing that, and then I was a strength and conditioning coach for the school. So I was doing football and everything, man. And then that's how the idea came about getting my own center up and going. I felt like it was the final piece to the puzzle, you know. And again, you know, we're ranked 50th in the country for like teacher pay and education funding and stuff like that. So in 2016 is when I started the actual mental health nonprofit, the No Surrender. That's when I started that.
Yeah.
And that was just geared towards like suicide prevention and stuff like that. I still wanted to work in the mental health field, but on my own terms, you know.
And that's when you were speaking at schools and going around and starting to do a lot of that.
Yeah. So, because I'm all about that shit. But then, dude, one day at school, this kid's dad comes up to me and he gives me a piece of paper. And I'm like, "What is this?" And then he just walks away. And he signed me over the rights to his son or the school.
Wow.
That's all it said on a piece of paper. Everything is misspelled. "Hey, I can't take it. I don't have a job. Y'all can have him." And he acted like he was normal. So I'm like,
Jeez.
I've seen some kids get mishandled, but that was pretty. And then I talk about it in the book, and then seeing more stuff like that, you know, just kids that look like they just come from these horrible homes. And my thing as a teacher, I can't expect you to focus in school if you're at home walking on fucking eggshells for whatever reasons, you know, whether you're having it, because, dude, we have so many kids here that are already taking care of their little brother, their little sister. They're already helping mom and dad or just mom pay the rent. And I grew up there. I fucking know. And then, but working at the juvenile center, I knew what the fuck this type of upbringing could result in. You know, I seen it on a bigger scale than most teachers did. You know, so I went to the school board and I'm like, "Look, we have no resources for our kids. I mean, there's no movie theater, there's no gyms where they can go for free. There's no there's nothing." And I'm like, until these kids have something outside of school, it's going to be the revolving door, because you have kids that have good parents, they'll do good, but the kids that don't have that support system, like, what are we going to do about them? Are we just going to fuck it and act like, you know, are we going to cater it? And that's how most small town schools are, man. They cater to the kids that have the mom and dads that have money, that know people, and the kids that have potential that just don't have a good home life. They're just kind of swept under the rug, you know?
Yeah.
So I told him, I'm like, look, we need to get an outreach center going, a place they can be outside of school, a place structured, a place they can learn leadership and accountability. Until you do that, we're just like, nothing. We're not going to move forward at all. And we're kind of, pardon my French, we're fucking these kids over. Like, we can do better.
Yep.
And of course they told me lack of funding, town's too small, the kids won't want to show up because they already hate school, just all these excuses. So that was when I opened my loud ass mouth and I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And then
rock and roll.
And then of course my mom looks at me and she's like, oh shit, Dillon, I told you to keep it for a year till you get it figured out. Because when I talked to my mom, I'm like, you realize everywhere I'm at now is because I didn't listen to you? She's like, I know, you smart ass. Because she was, you know, I was getting paid good by the state, and then I went into teaching, and you take like a 40,000 pay cut, you know? So she was already like, no, you must be fucking crazy. And I'm like, I feel like this is a part, it's not my end goal, but I feel like it's a part of the process. So yeah, man, that's when I decided I was going to get my own outreach facility center, whatever the hell it was going to be, up and going, man. So I went to my classroom and I just wrote all this shit down on this big board of like everything I wanted it to be, just from stuff in the military, growing up there, working with kids already, teaching. And I just wrote down this big ass plan and looked like I got drunk as shit and just scribbled and just scribbled a bunch of stuff. Yeah, my mom looked at it, she's like, this is your plan? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, how are you gonna how are you gonna do it? And then I talk about in the book, I asked myself, if not me, then who? Like, who else is gonna come do this shit? I don't want to fucking do this. I have to. And then I always talk about, you know, the universe putting you through the shit. It was putting me through the shit again. Hey, you're a broke teacher? Guess what? You're about to be super broke. Because I want you, because we're aligning you in a place where you need to get this outreach center up and going. And nobody's going to help you, but you need to do it. Good luck. So I was like, fuck. So of course, so of course I was stressed and people thought I lost my mind, you know, because
that's when you're doing good shit. When people think you're fucking nuts, you're like, I know I'm doing something fucking good.
Yeah. So my first objective was to get a building bought, you know, and all the buildings around here are super old, and you know, there's just not a lot going on. So I found a building downtown, the one I ended up buying. And it's super old, and I think they wanted like 35,000, and I'm like, "Fuck, I'm gonna have to start stripping or something." Like that. But it sucked because I walked in and it was perfect. Like it's cool because everything my place is now, I seen it 4 years ago.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
And I told people back then, like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, no, y'all don't fucking understand. Like, I'm obsessed with this shit. Like, I know this is what the fuck whoever put me here to do. Like, this is it. It's not anything cool and fancy. I'm not gonna make a lot of money, but this is gonna like change lives. But I'm standing in an old rusted ass building that was built in like 1905. They're like, "Oh yeah, cool TED talk. Good luck."
That's before pictures, man.
The before like, pictures, and then when you talk about you saw it in your heart, you saw it in your mind, you envisioned it, you closed your eyes, you drove by. I know that, and I know searching for that sacred space and needing to find it, and then driving by every day. You talk about every day driving by the building, looking in the windows. We did the same thing with the building here. It's like it becomes a fixation, and an addiction, an obsession. And if you just go to, I have to do this, and I'm going to change these lives, and this is part of my mission, then you have the energy you need. It's there, but it's a fixation, man. Yeah. So I went to this bank. I'm like, I got this fucking
it's gonna be legit. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll donate $100. And you're thinking, fuck, I'm not buying. Like I'm not trying to buy t-shirts here. Like I'm trying to raise a lot of money. And then, I had the nonprofit, so I was like, I'll use this nonprofit to spearhead what I'm trying to do. So I invested in like the nice design plans and all of this, and basically everywhere I went, they're like, this sounds like a great idea, let me know, and you get it up and going. Because people don't want to invest in the process, they want to invest in the final product.
Yeah, that's it, man.
So I'm thinking, like, I'm in this spot where people's telling me, just don't do it. Like it's just too much. And man, like you said, there were mornings I would wake up and I'd be like, fuck, I can't do it. But then I'd drive by and I'd see it with no lights. I'm like, this is going to be the most badass place. I just have to bring it to life somehow, man. So, man, every bit of the fucking money we raised, it was just, different companies and people, but I didn't have a board of advisors or groups helping me. Like, it was me. I'd show up at school at like 5 a.m., set the alarm off, piss off the janitor. And I would literally just fucking call any company, any business that I found on anything. And I'm like, look, check it out. I'm a teacher. Just listen. This is what it's going to be. Send us a photo. Send us this. And, dude, I may have to negotiate for a week to get like fucking $200.
Yeah,
but then another company may do like $1,500, and then it was just constant work for 11 months. I got done at 11 months, and I was like, let me see how much money I have. And it was nowhere fucking close. It was nowhere close to the amount I needed. And then a couple banks reached out. Hey, we'll give you this if you can do this for us, we'll finance this.
Right.
And people call me crazy, but I just didn't want to do it. Like, I wanted it to be mine. Like, I didn't want anybody to come in and tell me how I should do it. And I don't know if I was stupid or strong-willed, but my mom's like, you're crazy. Your payments would be this. And I'm like, but it wouldn't be my place. Like, you don't get it. Like, this is my fucking place. And keep in mind, it's not a palace. It's a 7,000 square foot rusted fucking building that was built in like 1905. But you'd have thought it was like a mansion to me. Like, no, this is mine.
Yeah.
So after 11 months, I had a certain amount of money in cash that I had saved. And I called the realtor and I'm like, look, can we talk to the people that's selling it and let them know what I'm trying to do? Because I don't think anyone's going to come try to buy it. But if they can help me out, I have cash, just see if they'll work with me. And thankfully they would, man. And on the day I closed on the building, I had to borrow $40 from my grandma because I was still $40 short because all the closing fees and all. I didn't know anything about it. So literally on the day I bought the building and they gave me my keys, I didn't have any fucking money. Not in the business. I didn't have any money at all. Like my grandma, my grandma had to like loan me. And it's funny because the day I bought it, it was like some straight Scarface shit. I brought all the money in my classroom. I didn't tell nobody. I had these two kids I knew I could trust that was like super good at math and everything. And I'm like, count this out. There should be this much cash. Like, oh shit, it looks like there's a music video going on in here. I got these kids counting this money. And so I'm like, I'm good to go. And then the realtor's like, well, there's the closing fees. I'm like, fuck, I did not know. So I emptied out my account and then I was like $60 short. So I called my grandma. She came up to the school. And of course she was like, you're so fucking crazy, but I'm so happy for you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so broke. This is going to be fucking awesome. I can't wait. So yeah, I closed on the building that day, signed all the paperwork, officially got the keys with only my name and company on the deed. Went down the building. We had a cool moment where we took a photo. And then I was inside and I was like, what the fuck did I just do? Because
now I got to fix all this shit.
Yeah, I have to fix, but I can't explain it, man. It was like probably one of the happiest days of my life. But most people looking from afar, I mean, I have no money. I mean, I'm still going to get paid, but I have no money right then. Like, but it's like I go back to, it's part of like the suffering process. Not just going to be handed. I always tell people the universe will reward you when you put in the fucking pain and suffering that you got to go through. You know, it's not just talking it, it's living it. And only then will shit fall into place. So yeah, I bought the building after a year of raising the money, and then I raised more money to work on the building because it needed a lot of work done. And every company, it was the same thing. Man, we'll help you do this, but it's going to cost this much. And I just raising money around here, and, you know, companies wanting you to spend $30,000 to like renovate. I couldn't do it. You know, it wasn't practical. Of course, my mom do it by the book here. Here's what you do. Hire a designer, hire this, have them come up with the plan. I'm like, all right, cool. The next day she calls me, where are you at? Oh, I'm down at the building. I got a couple kids down here. We got sledgehammers, axe, and, you know, I got all these fucking crowbars. And she's like, oh, she walks in. I got kids on scaffolding, you know, and we're just like, we're just going to town. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I was like, yeah, I'm paying these kids an hourly fee. They were going to eat every week. And when they can work, they can. When they can't, and this is what we're going to do, you know? And she was like, literally, you must have lost your mind. And I'm like, I'm doing this shit because of you, because this is how you raised me. Like, I'm a product of you. And she's like, well, I mean, yeah. So yeah, a group of kids, I was like, look, if any of y'all need extra money, I'm working on this project. And of course, when they came down, they're like, this motherfucker lied. This ain't a project. This is like a home makeover. So my promise to them was, look, stay committed. I don't know what I can pay y'all, but I will. I'll give y'all a shit ton of energy drinks. And when we're done, whatever that may be, you will have your own place to call your own. I'm literally going to give you a fucking key. Nobody's going to be able to take it away from you because this is my place. If you just invest. And they was like, okay, man. And that's one of the kids I talk about in the book, you know, that didn't come from the best environment. You know, he didn't have a father figure, and he was one of the ones that, and now he's going through fucking Army Ranger school right now. He's only 18. I got him to graduate a year early. So yeah, man, it took me a year to raise the money, and then a year to raise more money to get it to what it is today. And it's just been, again, I wanted it to be paid for because I didn't want to have to worry about the monthly overhead. And I didn't want people supporting and then be like, but I want to buy in to be able to do this, you know? And I had to be strong-minded, man, because there's people that came along that was like, we'll give you this, but we want this program, you know, teach kids how to, you know how it is with funding.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a test from the universe. I'm like, no, like, I'm staying true to what I know works. Like, I love fucking money, man, but I love impacting kids. And what other people don't know is, like, my approach, the experiences I have. Like, I know what the fuck this place is going to be. And I don't want simple-minded people involved. Like, if you aren't doing this type of shit before, I don't want you involved because I want people that I know that's been in this fight, you know? So yeah, man. Of course, everybody told me it wouldn't work because kids, you know, well, they don't want to show up for school. They don't want to do this. I'm like, well, it goes back to the type of environment, you know? So I wanted it to be anti what every outreach center was, you know? I didn't want it to be fucking easy for the kids because I think pain and suffering is a fucking product of life. Like, you have to go through it. And there's so many kids that's struggling with all these mental health issues because they think it's not normal, but it is. Like, it's normal to be fucking overwhelmed and stressed the fuck out. Like, it's normal. And that's why I wanted my center to be a place to teach these kids about the mindset, you know, that, look, if we train I always tell people, like, life is going to try and drown every one of my kids. And I'm just trying to teach them how to fucking swim by the time they leave for the real world. That's all I'm doing. Yeah. But I do that by working out. It's paramilitary structure, like you said. I put kids in their own leadership roles so they understand accountability and discipline. And then once we sweat it out, we have groups where we fucking talk about everything. all right, I know the school's never talked to you about not having a dad. Like, how's it feel? And you can tell if they're just not used to it. And then, you know this, once you break someone down physically, you break them down mentally. And once they're broken down mentally, that's when you can rebuild them. So I'd have kids that would be doing pull-ups, everything's fine, and then they just have a fucking mental breakdown. It all comes out. And I'm like, no, this is what we want. Keep going. Like, let this shit out, you know? Because I want it to be in this environment where it's controlled, where I can help you. So go through this pain and sadness, and then we'll draw a line in the sand and say, we're not fucking going back to that place ever again until it is see how far we've come, you know? So, yeah, dude, the first week I let kids start coming down there. Fuck, man, I had no plan, like you said. and people would come in, and I was just now slowly getting it looking nice. And even then, they were like, dude, you're still crazy. Like, it's funny because I showed up one day, and an old guy was walking by, and he's talking to me, and he looks at my building, and he goes, can you believe some dumbass bought this piece of shit? And I start dying, and I'm like, dude, you want to come check it out? And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it like that. And I'm like,
100 years old.
Yeah. I'm like, no, man, you know, but yeah, I, you know, just raised money to get the equipment, networked with different companies, but you know, every part of the process has sucked, but it's like you said, I've trained myself to understand like that's how it's going to be given to me. And that's what I want for my kids. I want them to understand that their journey is not going to be done after 4 years of college. And going through pain and suffering is like a part of life. And I want to train them to, once they're met with it, they're not just fucking crushed, you know? They just like endure it, go through it, and keep moving on, because, you know, our school system is super soft and kids aren't mentally challenged at all. And that's exactly what the void I wanted my facility, you know, to fill, was everything the education system is failing, and then providing that resource for those kids. Because, man, you'd be surprised how kids can turn around just from having a place to go. Like, you give a kid a key to your facility, even though as an adult you're thinking, this place is ran down as shit. This isn't a big, to that kid, that key is everything, man. Like, when you come in, you better wipe your fucking feet off because he's going to cuss you out. And it just goes back to working at the juvenile center. It's just the rapport that I took, the humanistic approach. All psychology books, self-development books, business books would have told me to take the other route. But I'm like, I've already lived this shit. Like, I know what's, you know, in my soul, and I think this shit is gonna work, man. So yeah, the youngest kids I work with are age 12, but I mean, you've seen the place, some of my videos. It stayed packed, and it stayed consistent, and it's because of the rapport, of the camaraderie. But it's also because the challenge. It's different. Kids are challenged. Kids that are athletes that are being recruited for Division I schools, they're not fucking shit down there. And I tell them that. I'm like, look, I want us to be a family, but there's gonna be some tough love dished out down here, you know. But I promise you, I'm gonna get you ready for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. Because I can't remember what quote it was, but it was like, when man meets obstacle he can't destroy, instead he destroys himself. And I just fucking love that, you know? Like, if you're not prepared here, the first spot of resistance, you're just gonna fucking fold. So I know every kid I have is gonna go through their own shit, and I just want to have them with the right mindset, no matter what it is they're gonna go through, to be able to like battle through it, you know?
Dylan, you're a fucking gangster, homie. No like shit. Listening to you, man, has my energy super pumped up. You said some amazing shit where our society and culture pathologizes what is fucking normal. To feel anxiety, stress, sadness, overwhelmed, grief, pain, turmoil, negative emotions. Oh, you mean being a fucking human being and being alive and having all these? But our culture goes, oh no, and especially Western psychology, something's wrong with you. You have a disorder. You have a syndrome. We put it on the individual, and we make them feel like something's fucked up and wrong with them. And here, the work you're doing with these youth is I'm going to normalize it. Your pain, your sorrow, your grief, your sadness, everything you're feeling is normal. Now I'm going to help you build strength from it and figure out a way to channel it and use it as a way to grow. But first, we got to get you not running away from it, because it's like Dr. Gabor Mate says, the surest way to go to hell is to try and run from it. The surest way to feel pain is when it arises, you go, I don't want to feel it. And what you get, and we talk about this all the time, man, all the guys that inspire us, Wes Watson, David Goggins, all these things, it's that idea of, man, you look at yourself, we constantly seek pleasure and we attempt to avoid pain. But when we begin to recognize that pain and suffering is the gift, is what will build us and strengthen us, now we can start to view pleasure seeking in a much different way. And Zach and I both can say, getting up in the morning, man, nobody wants to wake up that fucking early, dude, but you wake up and we say to ourselves, get the fuck up, you pleasure seeking motherfucker. Like, get up, run this shit, let's go. What are you, to build that endurance? There's nothing more beneficial. And that's what the whole of your life becomes, is how much stress can you tolerate? And to not wallow in it and put it on yourself. But you said it perfectly, brother. The world is going to drown your ass. And so the only thing you have control over is, I can become a pretty fucking good swimmer, man. The whole idea of calm waters don't make an experienced sailor.
It's a daily preparation of things, man. What do you do on a daily basis to prepare yourself for life when it throws you challenges? Because inevitably it's going to fucking do that. So what are you doing on a daily basis to do that and to prepare yourself for it? And I love it. And I love what you said is like your whole system is like getting a workout in with these guys, going through some training, and then going to do group. Like, we have seen that here, not really knowing what that looked like, because you came from a private practice and this is an expansion of that. And we have a full gym, and we've been running where the youth come in, they work out, and then they come and see a therapeutic mentor, or they go do see counselor, or they do groups. And it's such a perfect blend. They go in there and they're almost like they're primed and ready to do that type of work and go a little bit deeper. It's a fucking beautiful flow, man.
Yeah, man. I actually have 500 square foot worth of martial arts mats that we're putting in. Cool. So yeah, one side of my facility now is going to be an entire martial arts part, and then the other side is going to be where we're working out. So we're going to be doing, boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, shit like that. And it's cool because one of my kids is like, "Oh, I'm not into that stuff." And I'm like, "No, you're going to do it. You're going to have to." And it's because, man, there's nothing else out there that can teach you more mental resilience and resolve than learning martial arts, like learning how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, put kids through stressful situations, make them sweat, make them get stressed the fuck out, make them get angry. Once they learn how to control that there, man, imagine all the badass shit they're going to do in the real world, and that's why I made the name, the Mindset Academy, because I don't give a fuck about your GPA or your ACT score. If you're weak-minded as fuck, you're not going to do anything, man. That's why I tell these kids, like, look, I didn't even go to school for fucking business, and I got this shit up and going on my own because I fucking had the mindset.
Yeah.
There's no favors. Yep. Like you said, I've conditioned myself for the past 8 years to put myself through the most fucked up torture that I could, weighted pull-ups, like fucking everything. Callus comes out, do a pull-up on it. Like, I've just been so fucking weird. And it's cool because now I come across guys like you and Wes and David and all those guys, and you're like, oh, I'm not a psychopath. Like, this is how other guys think. And it's cool, man, because I think when you first messaged me, dude, I get so many like weird messages sometimes. Okay. I'll be honest, I'm like, I don't know what this place is, man. But like, you reply to something, I replied, and then like I click like everything y'all were doing, and I'm like, dude, we're like soul brothers from. Because I was like, this solidifies everything. And like, I was with my mom. I'm like, Mom, look at this shit. She's like, oh, that's so fucking awesome. She's like, but they do like counseling and everything, and I'm like, yeah. Oh, but they have a gym and everything. Yeah, imagine that if people take the different fucking approach, man. Because really, I mean, dude, my mindset is everything. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't want to produce kids that are gonna need, you know, a vice to get through normalcy. You know, like you said, going through depression and anxiety and stress, it's normal.
Yeah.
The problem is the new normal is to treat it with some vice they're going to need for the rest of their life versus teaching them the internal concepts. Like,
Yeah.
look, when you feel that depression and all that, let's fucking talk about it and work through it. Let me show you there's other fucking ways. That way, once it surfaces, dude, you're going to fucking win because everyone's so weak-minded nowadays. I tell my kids, if you just have a little mental resolve when you go into the real world, y'all's gonna fucking win, man, because everything is so watered down to fit around your feelings and not make you go through that shit. And it's cool now because, man, some of the kids this group, this is their final year, man. I mean, we've basically been a family, and you can just see the mental transition, because I tell them the way you do anything is how you'll do everything. So now they're leading the younger kids, and that's how I wanted to create the ripple effect. They're like my own little army, you know. If the kid's supposed to do, like, we had a kid the other day supposed to do 15 pull-ups, and he stopped at 12 and walked off. And my kid was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He was like, "Oh, I did 12." And my other kid was like, "Yeah, I know, you're supposed to do fucking 15." And the kid was like, "Well, I mean, at least I did 12." And they're like, "No, fuck that. Like, you don't stop that. You fucking finish, take your time, whatever you got to do, finish, and then move forward." And I'm like, fuck, I've created some monsters. Because that shit, I tell them, you know, like, I'm trying to eliminate that at least mindset. Yeah. Well, at least I went to college for a year before I dropped out. At least, you know, I tried to give my marriage a chance before I cheated. If you let that shit ride, you're gonna develop boys instead of fucking men. And that's what I'm trying to do, man. Like, I'm trying to teach these kids how to be men. But it's like you said, it's all about the action. If you want to follow someone to a certain extent, they have to somewhat like idolize you, like look up to you. And that's why I tell coaches, like, I have to be a man that they want to fucking respect and become if I want them to buy into what I'm doing. And that's what coaches around here don't get. You can't invest in a kid when it's football season and then stop, you know, working with them when football season's over. It's like I tell my kids, this is a lifetime investment that I'm making in y'all, you know? Like, it's for fucking ever. And once they know that and you build the time, you take the time to build that rapport, dude, the kids will do fucking anything for you. And once they see who you are and what you're doing for them, that's how you get them to buy in. Because I have coaches around here that's doing their summer football programs, and I'm like, dude, I'm having like 4 to 6 kids show up out of like 80. Like, what the fuck's the problem? And I'm like, what'd you do through springtime? Oh, nothing. That's your fucking problem, man. Like, you got to invest year round, and not just for the sport. Like, I have kids that are getting looked at by D1 schools, but I'm like, fuck football. Like, let's talk life. Like, because what I'm going to teach you is going to help you in football too. But football may not work. So let's get you ready here for anything that life is going to throw at you. And once they know you're with them on that level, dude, you'll get so many kids to buy in. That's how I've managed to keep so many kids in there, because the rapport, and I give them leadership roles. Hey, Thursday, I need you to set up the workout. Well, what? I don't know. Fucking figure it out, but just don't fuck it up. Okay. And that's what I'm wanting to do, you know, because I think we're in a situation where we're on the world because kids aren't taught how to critically think by the school systems. Like, kids aren't asked, what's your opinion? Form a thought. What do you think about this? It's just so down there, man. I give kids a lot of, you know, accountability and extreme ownership. I give them team leader roles. Like, I give them these responsibilities. That way they get used to it, you know? So really, like you said, I'm just taking the basic humanistic approach. And it's cool because now that I still have so much shit I need to do with it, but it's cool because it kind of always solidifies the way I think. Like once I get more of this done, the right people come along, the wrong people will get the fuck out of the way, and the right people will come in, and it's cool because I think if I wouldn't have left the juvenile center, if I wouldn't have dropped out of college, like I wouldn't have started working with kids, I wouldn't have wrote the book, I wouldn't have became a teacher, I wouldn't have started an outreach center, which means we wouldn't be having this fucking conversation right now.
Yeah.
So like this whole journey solidifies like the way that I go about thinking in life, because one small calculated decision can just completely change the direction of your life. And it's cool because now I get to talk to dudes like you that are passionate about it. It's fucking what y'all's doing is fucking legit, man. When I see y'all playing music with those kids, that's the shit that I love. And it's cool because y'all's tatted too. Y'all's in there playing fucking metal music or whatever. Yeah. Just kicking it with kids, and then I show someone, they're like, "Oh, what the fuck are they doing?" I'm like, "Dude, these are like counselors." Like, "Oh, this shit's so badass. Like, I wish we would have had." So, dude, hats off to what y'all's doing, man. And if I never
and Dillon, I want to be mindful of time, man. We could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. I can't put it in words, man, how awesome it is what you're doing, how amazing it is. I think our connection and communication is there for a reason. I think the universe has aligned us. I think we're going to do some beautiful work together in the future. And I think we just keep the doors open. And dude, man, as long as we're doing right by the kids and we're doing what's in their greatest good and their best interest, and nothing changes that, then it's beautiful shit that is bound to happen. And we let them teach us what they need from us. And we keep bringing our hearts and our energy to it. And so I can't thank you enough, man. Your time, you coming on here, this is fucking rock and roll shit, man. It's awesome.
Dude, for sure, man. And from one dude that's been doing this for a while that knows how mentally taxing it can be, I respect the two guys that y'all are, because I know this shit's not easy at times, man. So I'm glad I get to connect with two dudes like you, because I get asked to do podcast all over, and this was like my most fucking favorite one. I was just
dude.
Because like I know I'm talking to two dudes that think the same way, and they operate the same way. And when you talk to people that don't know that, you can't have an organic conversation because they don't fucking get it. So
and man, when you're giving so much of your energy to the kids, to families, you don't have energy to waste. And I don't want to get on a fucking thing and do some social performance where we're not even being real and raw and honest. And dude, as soon as I'm sure we knew through social media, and the first 2 minutes of us talking was us kind of and then it's just like, dude, you're raw, you're honest. I appreciate your heart. We're grateful to have you be part of this, man.
Yeah. Hey, whatever I can do, if y'all start selling shirts or like whatever, dude, let me know, man. Cause I want to help. I mean, I know y'all's place is a lot nicer than mine, but if I can bring support y'all's way, I'd fucking love to, man.
Here's what I want to do. I immediately think like, dude, we got these stickers. You have them out there? Yeah. So dude, here's all I want, man. We want to send you some of our fucking stickers and just guerrilla style blast that shit around Oklahoma, dude. You know what I mean? Give them to the kids. We'll send you fucking shirts and stickers and shit. And we just want kids to be able to take pride in the work that's being done in different places, man. And I think once travel's kind of more open, we'd love to connect, come down, see your spot, have you come out here, see our spot. Dude, this is the wave of the motherfucking future, man. Mental health needs to be changed. It needs a new face. It needs new advocates. It needs strong leaders. It needs not toxic leadership. We need to get inside the systems. We need to be subversive. We need to blow them up from the inside out. We need to rage against the machine, and we need to do this shit and carve out a new face of what mental health is, of what mind, body, soul growth work is. And I think it's going to take a collective unit. And so we want to be part of the army you're creating, man.
Oh yeah, dude.
Likewise, brother.
Cool.
Always, man. This commitment is the same commitment I make to the kids, man. This is fucking lifetime. Y'all can't get rid of me now. I'm like, hey,
We're in it.
Rock and roll.
Dude.
Dylan, go hang with the kids. We'll talk soon, brother.
Yeah, man.
all right, brother. See ya, man.
Appreciate you, dude.